all of you to happy Monday and say thank you for taking the time out on your Monday afternoon to come to our virtual orientation. So this is a new thing for all of us. We have never done our orientation for EOF during virtually. So this is a learning process for everyone. And I do feel sad that I don't get to see you in person. There's something very exciting about orientation and meeting you all for the first time in person, but we're going to just do the best that we can and make the best of this situation. But we're really excited to welcome you guys to our program. We're hoping that by spreading out the presentations during the week, it's going to give you time to kind of absorb all the information. And, you know, as I mentioned, questions are going to happen and they're going to come up, and we're here to help you throughout the entire process. So I don't expect you to walk away today knowing everything that I just told you and, you know, remembering it perfectly. That's why we're recording all of these sessions so that in case you know, forget something, you can go back and watch it later. And we're going to put it all on our YouTube channel. All right, so what am I going to cover today? So I'm going to cover a few things. So I'm going to talk a lot about the virtual summer program, our Summer Institute. I know I've been getting some questions about that. I'm going to talk about some to-dos. So I know many of you already have received many emails from me about financial verification, maybe taking your placement test. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that, and I'll try to answer some of the common questions that have been coming up. And that's pretty much it. And then I'll leave some time at the end for questions. And like I said, today's session is being recorded. So you'll look out for, I'm probably going to put all of the sessions towards the end of the week on YouTube. So I'll have everything that we've gone over so you guys can check it out at your leisure. And if you haven't been there already, I encourage you to go to that site. You can see some of the videos that we've already uploaded introducing you to our staff. So I do want to take some time to talk about what EOF is, right? So I'm hoping that if you're here today, you do have a little bit of an idea of what our program is all about, but there's a chance you may not, right? So somebody may have told you about the program, your guidance counselor may have encouraged you to apply, and that's well and good, but we want to make sure we're clear about what EOF is and what it isn't, right? So EOF is a state-funded program, meaning that you can find EOF in other colleges and four-year universities across the state of New Jersey. And so our goal is to help students who come from disadvantaged areas, both educationally and economically, get into college and succeed in college while they're there. And we do that through the support that we provide. I personally like to describe EOF as an intensive support program that also provides financial aid. So I always like to tell students when I'm talking about the program that we are not a financial aid program. We are very different from financial aid, and we'll talk more about that at some point. But we're a support services program, and that's largely academic and personal support. So on the academic side, you will, you know, get support in your classes. So we'll make sure that if you need tutoring, or if you need help talking to your professor, or maybe you're just not sure about your major, or you hate the major that you picked and now you need to change it, that we're going to support you through that process. So we're going to make sure that, you know, you're successful academically. And then also personally. So college is, you know, if you think about who you were in your freshman year of high school and who you are now, you're probably somewhat of a different person, right? And so that's the same thing for college. College is going to be 4 to 5 years of your life. And so there's going to be a lot of things that come along in those 4 to 5 years, and a lot of changes and growth, and also goals that you're going to set for yourself. So you're going to have personal goals, academic goals, and career goals. And so we're going to support you through that entire experience. We're going to make sure that you feel supported, that you're setting goals for yourself that's going to help you become the person that you're aiming to be. And so that when you leave the university in 4 to 5 years, that you've had not only a great experience at Rutgers, you feel like I did everything that I could have possibly done here. I'm satisfied, I'm ready to move on. But also that when you leave, you can be like, okay, now I am ready for that next step. I can apply to grad school, I can go into this job field, whatever it is, whatever your goals are, we're going to support you. And success is very different for students. We don't like to define what success means, because what success means for one person is different for another. So we're going to help support you and figure out what you define as success and help you get there. And of course, we do provide money, which I'm sure is why a lot of you are here today or are aware of our program. So for students who are eligible, which is why you go through the financial verification process to determine your eligibility, you receive a grant that goes towards your tuition and fees. So Mrs. Caroline Waters, who's another one of our EOF counselors, did a presentation yesterday, and she'll be doing it again later this week, about the financial aid process. So essentially what happens is in the fall semester, you would get an EOF grant that would go on with all of your other financial aid awards on your term bill, and it would help offset or pay off the costs of your term. Okay. So before I move forward, I really think it's important that you start associating our names and faces. So some of you may have already met us if you attended any other session this weekend. But I did want to introduce you to our EOF team. So there's myself in the bottom left corner. I'm Miss Randy Ferguson. I'm the Assistant Director of EOF. And then we have our Director, Dr. Marcia Basong, who's also the Assistant Chancellor for Student Academic Success. And then we have our three counselors. So we have Mrs. Caroline Waters on the left, Mr. Terrence Jones in the middle, and then Miss Sarah Blackman on the right. And so I really want to take a moment to pause and talk about your EOF counselors. So you should all be registered for a session with them later this week, either tomorrow or Thursday. We're offering it twice. And this is really where you're going to get to know them. So you're going to learn more about them and start building that relationship with them. The bulk in the heart of our support, it comes from your relationship with your EOF counselor. We do offer workshops, we do offer programs and all of that good stuff, but that one-on-one personal support with your counselor is where you're going to gain a lot of that academic and personal and career support. So their goal and job is to help you be successful. And so they're going to help provide the resources and the support and the information that you need to move forward at Rutgers-Camden and in your life. So I really want to emphasize that you guys have a great opportunity with this relationship. So just to put a little context to it, other students come into Rutgers, and if they're not a part of like an EOF program, you all get an academic advisor, and your academic advisor is going to help support you in your major. But there's not enough academic advisors to go around. And so they don't have the time that they would like to have to build personal relationships with their students. Whereas we have that opportunity. So you have your academic advisor, but then you have an EOF counselor who's going to help support you and really get to know you as a person to make that support more personalized for you. So I can't wait for you guys to get to know them better and start building that relationship. So let's talk about the virtual summer program, because I know that's kind of where your guys are all wondering about right now, and might be what are you most nervous about or have the most questions about. So our Summer Institute is going to start on July 6th, and it's going to run from July 6th to July 31st. So it's a full 4-week program. This year it's virtual because Rutgers is virtual. So right now, Rutgers is operating kind of on a virtual platform. So all of the classes this summer are going to be online. Most offices, including the EOF office, is working virtually. So you might see my background. I'm in my home currently working from home. So we are forced, unfortunately, to do it online this year. Typically, our program is a residential program. It's full of 5 weeks and you're staying on campus. But you guys get to experience something different and new this year. We're all in this together. So this is the first time we're doing this. And so we're excited to see what we can do and what we can build together over these 4 weeks. So what are some things that you can expect to happen? So our big theme this summer is community. So we really want to help you guys become part of the EOF community. If you've seen any of my videos, my introductory videos, I talk a lot about the community aspect, right? We're really big on a community on EOF. You're going to hear it a lot. You're going to hear a lot about relationships. And that's because relationships are so important. And so we want you to not only build a relationship with your EOF counselor, but also each other. We have over 70 students for this year's summer program. That is the largest class I've ever seen. I've worked at Rutgers for 8 years, and we've never had more than 60 students. So this is really exciting because there's going to be so many opportunities to interact with different people. So you can expect to have group meetings and one-on-one meetings with your EOF counselor. You can also expect to take a course we call Raptor 101, which is essentially a crash course on what it means to be a Rutgers-Camden student. So you're going to be also doing that with your counselor, and there should be about 20, maybe 25 students, other students in that class. So you'll have to have a little cohort within your cohort. You're also going to be doing some writing work. So I am going to touch on that in I think the next slide or two about your essay that we're asking you to write. And so you're going to spend this summer over the 4 weeks revising that essay in order to help your writing skills. Rutgers is a research institution. And so what that means is that we are a very writing heavy institution. So not only will you, of course, do writing in your English courses, you will also have to do writing in a lot of your classes that are not math based. So even if you take, say, you take a Psych 101 class, they may require you to do a 10 to 15 page paper in your first semester, right? So writing is a skill that we all have to continue working on. It never really changes, right? No one ever perfects the art of writing. And so we want to work with you this summer to help you get your skills up, see where maybe your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, so that we can help like kind of jump you for the fall. So when you take that first English class or whatever your class that's going to make you write some papers in the fall, you're ready for it. And then lastly, you're going to be doing some social activities. So we have EOF peer coaches this summer. They are upperclassmen EOF and trio students. So, and their whole job and goal is to get to know you better. So one of the best things about our summer program normally is that we have EOF students who work as our residential assistants, and they build a lot of great relationships with our students, and students really appreciate getting to know someone who's been on the campus for a few years, who's involved, who knows people, who knows things. Because I know coming from us, we don't know that student experience like they do. They're living it currently. So their job is to help you connect to the campus and get to know you a little bit better. They're also going to be an excellent resource about things like professors, classes, where to eat around campus, the best clubs to join, and all of that stuff. So definitely take advantage of your relationships with them. And you'll be meeting, there is a session tonight, and then there's one on Thursday. So you'll be able to meet them. So I'm a visual person, so I like to give visuals to other people because I know I'm throwing a lot of information at you right now, and it may be hard to picture, right? So I wanted to show you a sample weekly schedule for the summer program. Now, I'm going to emphasize this is a sample, so this is subject to change. You're all going to get an individual schedule tailored for you, right? So it's going to be your name on it with your EOF counselor, what time your Raptor 101 class is. So you will get that the week before the program starts. So I don't want you to worry. You're going to know exactly where you need to be and how you have to get there before the program starts. But I just wanted to show you, the reason why I wanted to show you this is because I want to show you that you're going to be engaged every single day with the program, right? So every day might look a little different, but you're always engaged. And engagement means a couple of things. So you might be engaged in that you're taking Raptor 101 on that Monday from 10 to 11:30. So you're engaged, you're locked in, you're in that virtual space. But you may also, if you notice, oh, sorry about that. If you notice from 3 to 5, it says prep for Raptor 101, right? So that might mean we're going to be asking you to do things outside of those designated virtual meeting times. So you might need time to, maybe you have to read an article or do a discussion post or connect with a little group you might have in Raptor 101. It's going to look different, but the point is that you have to prepare for the meetings that you're going to be in. So it's not just, oh, I'm only in Raptor 101 for an hour and a half, that's it. No, you're going to have to do stuff outside of those designated times. Again, we will explain it to you. You will know what is expected of you in detail. Your counselor will talk about it with you. So I don't want you to think you're not going to know. We're going to make sure it's very clear. But I just wanted to give you a little small picture of what it's going to look like. I did put some notes on here. Some of you have been really great about this so far, but checking your email is a must. And that's not just because we're virtual. Rutgers is a full email institution. We don't send things home. Everything is basically email oriented. So, and there's a lot. I get it now as first year students, you guys get a lot of information, especially in the summer. And so what I usually recommend is just start getting in the habit of checking it every single day. Otherwise, you may miss something that's really important. Miss Sarah also just put in the chat to follow our Instagram page. We've been posting some stuff on there from our current students. We just celebrated all of our students who graduated, and that's how we're going to do our first session tonight for meeting the peer coaches. And it's just a great resource of information. You don't know what Canvas is yet, so don't worry about it. We will tell you what that is, but that's going to be another platform you're going to work on. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about expectations. And so I've shared with you that this is the first time we've ever done a virtual program. So this is very new to us, right? Normally you're on campus, you're living with us for 5 weeks. We know your schedule in and out. We notice if you don't come to class, right? So if you're even 5 minutes late, all of the classes are in the same hallway that we work in, so we see you walking by late, right? So we're on top of it all the time. We know when you're not in class. We know when you don't show up. We see you every single day, and we interact with you every single day. So it's still going to be the same in many ways, right? So you're going to interact with us every single day. You're going to talk to your counselor constantly. But there's something missing when we don't have that physical aspect, right? So we don't see right away if you don't show up. We may not know you're not going to your meetings with Emma, say she's your writing tutor, until she tells us 2 days later, right? And so there's a lot of responsibility and onus on you as a student to be engaged in this program. We are going to do the absolute best that we can to make this a great summer experience for you. So we've been putting a lot of work in already, and we want to do the best that we can on our part to make sure we're offering you this space that feels like a community, so that when you walk away at the end of 4 weeks, you're like, okay, I am ready for Rutgers now. Like, I feel more confident. I know what I have to do. I have my counselor and I've met some friends in this program and I'm ready. Like, I'm going to tackle this semester, right? College isn't that scary anymore. But in order for that to happen, you have to show up and put in the work, right? So you have to come in and participate in your classes, in your meetings, and do the work outside that we're asking you to do. However, it's virtual, right? So there are going to be challenges. So for example, typically when I'm doing presentations, my cat likes to come by and interrupt any kind of virtual meeting I'm in, right? I'm in my house. And so being in your house, you don't have that same control that I usually have if I'm in my office and I control the setting, right? Other people live with me. Sometimes the internet doesn't work. Sometimes my computer crashes. There is something different every single day, right? And we've had to navigate that ourselves over the past couple months. And so we understand that things happen. We understand that you might try to log into a web meeting one day and you're like, it's not working for me. My computer keeps crashing. I can't hear anything. Like, that's totally fine and totally expected. Well, what's not going to be acceptable is if you wait 2 days later and say, oh, sorry, I didn't log on. My computer wasn't working. Because then I'm going to think you're lying, right? Like, if you're going to have all of our phone numbers, so and you have my email already. So you could say, hey, Miss Randy, can't get on today. I'm experiencing an issue. And I'll let your counselor know. And that's that, right? So the communication piece is going to be so big this summer. Communicating with us, communicating with each other, because that's the only way it's really going to be successful. If you let us know as things are happening. Everyone's reality is different, right? We understand that not everyone has maybe an ideal home situation to be participating in a virtual program. That's why we're spacing meetings out. We're not trying to ask too much of you in one given day, because we know everyone's reality looks different. So please let us know now, like, as you're thinking about the summer program and what we're asking you to do, if you think I'm gonna have some obstacles, I might not have the best access to the internet, there's some issues in my home, like, please share those with me. And you're going to meet your EOF counselors this week, and if you are comfortable, share it with them as well, because I'd rather know now and help see what we can do to help make this process better for you, than hear about it like 2 weeks into the program. I also wanted to touch on some other things, and you'll see I made this little word cloud here of some of the words that pop in my head when I think of a virtual program, right? So I think of some of the things we already talked about: responsibility, engagement, communication, accountability. But I also think of things like fun, excitement, growth. So you are starting college. This is an exciting time. You're moving away from high school. I know some of you haven't graduated yet, but you're almost there, and you're going to start college in a couple months. You're going to meet new people. It's going to be a whole new experience, right? And this summer is going to be a great experience because you're going to meet so many different people and get to engage with so many different, meet some older students, meet some new students, meet staff. So it's a really great opportunity. So you're going to learn a lot about yourself during the summer program. And you're going to also we're going to try to do a lot of fun community building things. So there's a lot of opportunity to be engaged with each other. There's also going to be awkwardness, and there's going to be obstacles. And, when you're in a virtual space like I am now, I am presenting to a blank screen. Well, not a blank screen, it's my PowerPoint, but I'm not. Normally when I do this, I'm in front of a crowd, right? I'm in front of your faces. I can see all of you. I can see how the information is, resonating with you. Do you understand me? Do you not? So it's very different for all of us, and it does feel weird. And so there's that lag too, right? But we're just going to have to work together to get through this, because we're in the same boat as you. We're doing it from our homes. But we want to make this a great experience. So the more we work together, the better it's going to be. Okay, so let's talk about the next steps. So one of the biggest things that is, in your minds right now is this financial verification process, right? So you guys have been asking me, when do I have to turn these documents in? And so the date to turn these documents is Friday, June 26th. I encourage you though to not wait until that week to turn them in. The earlier you turn them in, the better. That way, if there's any issues, you have to make any corrections, you have the time to do it and you don't feel crunched. So I'm going to go over some common things that have been coming up for students in a minute, but I do want to encourage you to submit things through the financial aid portal. The reason why we push the portal is because it's tied to your information, right? It's tied to your name and your RUID. And when it gets uploaded, financial aid knows whose it's for, right? When you send things to general email, sometimes that doesn't, unless you're like really careful and put your name and RUID on everything, things might get lost. But I do know that some students have said, I've been having issues with the portal. If that's the case, you have a couple of options. You can email it to me if you feel comfortable emailing it to me, and I will make sure it gets to the correct person. I also included the correct person on the bottom of this slide, and her name is Mrs. Olivia Longo. She's actually the one who reads all of your financial documents and does the verification process for us. She's the only one in that office who's doing that. So if you were, and I encourage you to reach out to her if you're like, I don't understand what to put on this asset form, right? So she can walk you through some of the questions that come up for students. She can tell you if you did it right. If you have like a very specific financial situation and you're like, I need to talk to her about this, definitely email her. She's very nice. She wants to help you through this process. And we know it's overwhelming and confusing. So the more you communicate with us, the better it is, right? I also did send all of you, I believe, the YouTube video I created about the financial verification process. It is very general, so it's just covering how to upload into the portal. I talk a little bit about the tax transcripts and things like that, but it's just a way to kind of jumpstart you and understand why do we make you do this process, right? And so for the tax transcripts and non-filer statements, this has been a big issue for students because of COVID-19. Because of COVID-19, the IRS is not doing any mail processing. And so the only way to get these documents is to download them directly from the website. But the IRS requires that you do all of these things to get these documents, right? So they're asking for a lot of identity markers. So you might need a credit card or something to do with your mortgage. And a lot of students said, we don't have any of those things, so we can't download it. I still ask that you request the documents by mail, only because you are going to need these documents at some point. So when the IRS moves towards processing mail documents, at least they can have your request in hand already. Because honestly, in a normal time, it takes like 6 weeks for some of them to send these tax transcripts or non-filer statements by mail. So I can't even imagine what it's going to be like now that we have COVID-19 and they're probably backed up, right? In the meantime, though, because we are aware with everything going on that you may not get these documents in time for the summer program or to be cleared by June 26th, you can do a couple of things. So if you're being asked for a 2018 tax return transcript, you can submit your 1040 tax return from 2018, the complete return, in lieu of the tax transcript for now. The financial aid office will use it as a way to determine your financial eligibility. Please make sure it's signed. So there is an area on the transcript that asks for signatures, so make sure it's signed. Please also make sure that you're using a copy. I don't want you to use the only one you have because I also want you to have your name and RUID on all of this, on as many of the pages as possible. Sometimes it's hard. I've received tax returns and I don't know whose student it's for. So you don't want it to be, they get this document, they're like, who's this for? And it gets rejected. The second thing is most of you have been asked for a non-filer statement from the IRS. So basically what this statement is saying is that you didn't file tax returns in 2018. And most of you didn't, right? So now, and while you wait for this official statement from the IRS, you can actually do a written statement. So it can be written or typed, and you can basically say, my name is, insert name. I using this statement to verify that I did not file taxes in the year 2018. I requested my non-filer statement from the IRS, but I'm unable to receive it at this time due to COVID-19. And then you can sign it and put your RUD and submit it. And so that could be used in the meantime to clear you for the program. It's basically just kind of my word is my bond. Like I did not file taxes, and I'm just going to verify that through this statement. If you want me to look at this statement before you send it, you can absolutely email it to me. I have no problem. It's not, but like I said, it really only has to be a couple lines. They just want to know for sure that you didn't file taxes. So just to reiterate, those are some things that you can do in the meantime. If you have questions about some of the documents that you're being asked, you can reach out to me. You can also reach out to Mrs. Longo, but we will help you through this process. We do know it's a little overwhelming. We know we're asking a lot. The great news is that you won't have to go through a process like this again after this year. Next year, you'll be renewing your FAFSA. You may sometimes have to submit some verification documents, but it'll never be like this again. It's only because you're a first-year student. So once you get through this, it'll be so much easier moving forward. So aside from financial verification, there's a couple other things you're going to have to do between now and the start of summer program. So the first one is take the Lassi. So the Lassi is an assessment, and that it basically measures your student awareness and use of learning strategies. So we're going to use this assessment, particularly your counselors are going to use this assessment to better help them understand maybe where your strengths and weaknesses are when it comes to things like time management, study strategies. Do you get anxiety when you're taking tests? Things like that. And so it takes no more than like 20 minutes, honestly. You can do it at home. I'm going to send you on Friday a link to the Lassi. I'm going to also send you instructions via video about how to complete the Lassi. So I'll show you how to go on the website, how to type in the code, and then off you go. So I don't think it honestly takes more than 20 to 30 minutes. And then once it's complete, we'll print out all the reports on our end, and then your counselor will go over those results with you. We ask that you complete this by June 19th, so we're giving you 2 full weeks to complete it. That will give us some time to look it over and have it prepared and ready for your first meeting with your counselor. So again, I will send everything on Friday. It'll be very clear. It's a very easy assessment to take, and so you'll get more information on that. The second thing is going to be an essay. And so we're going to be asking you to complete a 5-paragraph, 500-word essay, and it's going to be related to your experiences with COVID-19. So how has your life changed in the past few months? Again, like the Lassi, I'm going to send you instructions and more details on Friday. So I wanted to wait until orientation was over. I wanted you to just focus on orientation. I didn't want you to worry about the Lassi or the essay quite yet. You have plenty of time to complete both. But basically the essay shouldn't be too hard because it's about you, right? So the easiest subject to write about is yourself. So it's going to be asking about, your experiences. And so I will send you the actual essay prompt, and then I will also send instructions via video about what we're expecting of you, and then, maybe some tips and tricks on how to complete the essay. This is going to be due the same day that your financial docs are due. So it's going to be due Friday, June 26th. I'm not going to tell you quite yet how you're going to upload this essay because I want you to spend the time working on it. It's really important that you put a lot of thought and effort into this because this is the essay that we're going to work with you over the summer to make sure that we're getting your writing skills up to par. Okay, so don't worry, you'll know exactly what you have to do. You have plenty of time to do it. And you will be very clear. But after I send everything out to you, if you have questions, you can, of course, ask me. Okay. So I want to kind of sum up everything from today. I know I threw a lot of information at you. I have the most boring presentation out of all the presentations this week because I'm talking about all the logistical things, right? But they're important things. And like I said, we recorded these for a reason because we knew this is going to be a lot of information, and we wanted you to take the time to really think about it and digest everything. But the key point is, number one, our Summer Institute. So it starts July 6th, ends July 31st. I don't think I explicitly said this earlier, so I'm glad this is on here, but participation and completion of the summer program is required. So it is mandatory that you complete this program. I'll say that one more time. It's mandatory you complete the program. If you do not complete the program, you will lose your spot in Rutgers through EOF. So you were admitted into Rutgers through the EOF program. So if you were like, I'm just not going to show up, I'm not going to do the summer program, then you will lose your admissions through the admissions that you earned by not completing the summer program. Every first-year student that comes in through EOF, virtual or not, has to complete the summer program. It's a requirement. All EOF programs require it. So please make sure that, like we talked about earlier, if you're going to have challenges or obstacles that you're already worried about, please share them with me so that I can make sure we can do the best that we can on our end to support you during the summer program. The next thing to remember is you have several steps to complete between now and the start of the summer program. So a couple of things I didn't talk about was completing your placement test. So I've been getting some questions about when am I going to get my fall classes, right? So there is going to be a university-wide orientation, probably beginning, I think they start towards the end of June. You will get an email about your orientation date. It's going to be from the Office of New Students Programs, also called ONSP. And they will go over, they were going to assign you to a date and you're going to meet with your academic advisor virtually, and they will help you pick out your classes based on your major and your schedule. What's important is that you have your placement test done before that, because every student has to take English and math as part of their major. So they want to make sure they're putting you in the right math or English course. So please make sure that if you haven't, you've done your placement test. The placement test also comes from the Office of New Student Programs, so they will send you the link to do it online. So you need to do that. You need to complete financial verification. You need to take the Lassi and complete and upload the essay like we talked about, and those are the dates there. Some students have been asking about housing. I know there was some issues with the housing application, but if you are interested in living on campus, I just want to go over really quickly that we are not sure what housing is going to look like for the fall. And Rutgers has not made an official decision about what Rutgers is going to look like in the fall, right? So there's been no official announcement if we're going to be virtual or not, if we're going to be hybrid, meaning like some classes are online, some are not. That should come in the next couple of weeks. I would say by early July, we will know for sure. And so we don't know what housing is going to look like. We don't know how much capacity we're going to have. In normal years, it's very difficult to get housing if you apply late. And that's going to be even more so of the case now, because we are probably not going to operate at full capacity, which means housing is even more limited. So if you have not already and you're like, I really, really want to live on campus, or I have to live on campus because I live far away and commuting is ridiculous, then I would go to housing.camden.rutgers.edu, and then you can go online and fill out the application. There was some issues with the application over the weekend. I did reach out to somebody about that, so hopefully that's getting fixed, but just so you know where that is. And lastly, communication is key. I know I talked a lot about this. I'm going to beat this horse a lot over the next couple of weeks. I'm going to talk about, you're going to hear communication from everyone in our program. You're going to probably be sick of it by the time the program starts, but I can't emphasize how important it is. It's important no matter what, right? So even if we were together for during the 5 weeks and you were living with us on campus, we'd still talk about how important communication is, right? Letting us know if there's challenges, letting us know if you have questions. I would rather you ask a question than not ask a question, right? So there is, in this, to me, there is no dumb questions, right? I'd rather you say, hey, Miss Randy, I don't know how to do this. Can you help me? I'm worried about this. Should I be worried about this? Better you ask than not ask, and then it becomes an issue, right? We know this is like very new for all of you, right? For many of you, you were the first in your family to go to college. So you've never experienced any of this. Your parents may not know how to support you. You don't really know what to expect. And we know that, right? So we want you to ask questions. We want you to reach out. And so please feel free to email me at any point. I'm going to go to the next slide in a second, and it has my contact information on it if you don't have it already. And also utilize your EOF counselors as you get to know them over the next few weeks. So, and that is my contact information. So my email is listed there. Like I mentioned earlier, we are remote, so we are not in our offices. So I know that on our website and in my email signature, it has my office phone number. I don't go to the office very often. I may go once every couple weeks to check mail. But the best way to reach me right now is email. I check my email constantly, especially at this time of year, because I know I get a lot of questions. And so if you have a question or you just need to chat with me, feel free to email me. I also put some of our other pages on there that you may want to check out. So I mentioned earlier our Instagram page, that's our handle, our YouTube page. I didn't want to put the link, so you could just put Rutgers-Camden EOF, and you'll be able to see all of the videos that we've been putting there so far. All of these videos will be put on there as well, all of our orientation videos, and I'm going to continue to post things throughout the month. So please feel free to check that out. And then our website. So on our website, there is an area on the website for first-year students, and it talks a little bit in more detail about the financial verification process. The YouTube video I created is on there. It talks about the placement test, and it gives you the link to the placement test. And I did see Miss Sarah just put that in there as well. It also gives some other resources and tips, so if you want to check that out. So I'm going to look through the chat right now and see, and if you have questions, feel free to type them in now, but I want to make sure that I answer some of these questions. Okay. So I'm going to start at the bottom since that's what I can see. So since I have a job, would I be able to make a schedule with my counselor which works with my job schedule? So this is from Josh, and so I recommend that if you have a job or something like that, you need to talk. Some of the things are not going to be negotiable. Let me just put that out, right? The time that Raptor 101 is the time that Raptor 101 is. The time that some of these meetings we're going to have to pre-schedule in advance because we have so many students. So the time that you meet with your writing instructor to go over your essay is going to be the time, because we can't, if everyone got to choose, then it's going to be a mess, right? Because we have over 70 students, and then they're also working for other programs as well that have 20 students themselves. So, but your individual meetings with your counselor, you may be able to talk with them about with your schedule. So I encourage you, when you meet them in their sessions this week, they're going to share their contact information with you. If you're like, listen, is it possible that our one-on-one meetings are this day? And they can, it's ultimately up to them, but that decision is with you. But please realize that in normal summertime, when you guys are living with us during the 5 weeks, we do not allow you to work during the week because you're so engaged in the program. We know now it's different. We're not going to tell you that, but I do want to emphasize that some of these things are not negotiable. So some of the classes and the times that you're scheduled are going to be the times that you're scheduled, and you're going to have to figure it out. Let's see. So hopefully that answers your question. But like I said, please talk to your counselor. So if you're having some concerns or issues, please let them know, and they're going to try the best to work with you for your schedule. Okay. You should be, for the placement test, I know Ms. Blackman just shared the link, but you're supposed to get a link sent to you, right? Every link is personalized to that student. So some students might be exempt from the English test, for example, because their SAT score was high enough to exempt them. So they may only have to take math. So everyone gets a different link based on themselves and their situation. So it's supposed to come from the Office of New Student Programs. You click on it and you do the session. If you have issues, let me know, but they also share their contact information. Some students have said, I started it, my computer crashed, I couldn't finish it, and so I couldn't, I need a new link, and they'll work with you. But that comes from the Office of New Student Programs. Okay. Is there other questions while I'm in here and I'm looking at the chat? No more questions? I never got an email from them about the placement test. I can take a look. It might be, yeah, on Canvas. Okay. Yeah, I think the placement test, like I said, for some students, they may not have to take certain parts of the placement test because of their SAT scores. So for some students, they may have only gotten an email about one of them or neither of them, but I can take a look. I'll write a note to myself, Jeanette, to see if there's anything in particular. The other thing to make sure you're doing right now is to check your email that you put on your application. So that's the email that I'm emailing you guys currently. We're not going to start using your Rutgers email till probably closer to the summer program. Once we start the summer program, it's just going to be your Rutgers email moving forward. But you may not be familiar with that email yet, but it's very, very important that whatever email you put on your Rutgers application is the email you're checking. If you use a school email, so some of you use, like, say you go to Pennsauken, right? And you're using your Pennsauken email, that email will probably expire when you graduate. They usually remove your access when you leave the school. I encourage you then to forward your email or create a new personal email address to use, because that's the email that everyone is using right now. So they use the email that is linked to your application until you start using your Rutgers email. So please make sure that you're checking. Also, make sure to check your junk. Sometimes things from Rutgers or from unknown senders automatically go to weird filters, and they might go to your junk email. So please make sure you're checking that as well, just in case things get filtered. I think that's it. Does anyone have other questions before I finish? And like I said, I know that this is a lot of information. Please feel free to email me if you have questions that come up after this, if you want more information about something in particular. Everyone's experience is a little bit different, so I know some of you may not want to ask your question here, and that's completely fine, but I'm definitely here if you have any questions. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for joining me today, and I look forward to working with you all soon.